Hello, Habitat supporters. My name is Esther Richmond. I'm a Community Relations Manager at Bank of America, supporting the Seattle-Puget Sound region. I've been with the bank for 20 years, and I've been a volunteer for over 10 years with Habitat for Humanity in Seattle-King County. I'm excited to be here today as a supporter and a volunteer. As I think back on the many bills I've participated at, one word comes to mind, and that's community. The way people come together and embrace a task that will bring a sense of security and long-term stability is what inspires me to give my time and support to such a great organization. I want to thank all the donors and ask that you consider giving today.
Hi, we are the Lopez family. We have been Habitat homeowners for 29 years in the Seattle South Park project.
Our favorite part of being in our own home is live in a safe neighborhood with friendly people. Thank you to all volunteers, donors, and supporters for your love and care.
Hi, I'm Gabriella Schuster, and I'm the Corporate Vice President at Microsoft, responsible for our global partnerships. Habitat for Humanity is the essence of the community. When we support families by giving them from a place to call home, we're not only enriching their lives, but we're strengthening the community as a whole. Even though we can't be together in person this year, we have an important thing to come together and virtually support this incredible organization and the families that rely on Habitat for Humanity. From a Microsoft perspective, this is a technology enabling people to come together online and make a commitment to help others, which is as important at this time of year as ever. I stand behind Habitat for Humanity, and I hope you will too.
Hi everybody, good afternoon. Mona Das, State Senator from the 47th District. It is such an honor to be with you here in this way, a video. Just wanted to share why I support Habitat. I've been working with Habitat on many bills in the legislature for the past couple of years. As someone who's been in the mortgage industry for the last 15 years, I know that homeownership is the pathway out of poverty and the pathway to create generational wealth for many communities of color. And that is one of the many reasons why I support homeownership and why I especially support Habitat for Humanity. I love what you guys do. I love your purpose. I love your passion. And I love how you help our community members become homeowners and change the future for their families. Thank you for all you do, and I'm happy to support in any way.
Welcome, everybody. And wow, it has been so inspiring to see families and supporters joining us today and how Habitat for Humanity Seattle-King County has had an impact on their lives. So many achievements last year. So first of all, a big congratulations. Good afternoon to all of you. Honored to be here again with you this year as your MC for Habitat for Humanity's Beyond the Build event. I'm Steve Rabel, as you know, I hope, from Cairo 7. And as you also might know, I have become an expert in broadcasting from home, which is where we are now. Now, given these interesting times, this skill will come in handy as Habitat, like so many others, has moved to a virtual event instead of an in-person luncheon. This luncheon typically attracts nearly 1,000 supporters and raises significant dollars to support Habitat's work in our county. So we are grateful to have all of you joining us today to support Habitat for Humanity and our shared commitment to helping build community and, maybe more importantly, in building hope. Now, with the outbreak of COVID-19, we as an entire community are certainly seeing an impact on our region unlike anything we have experienced before. As every day passes, more resources are strained, creating even more barriers to those who need affordable housing. These families and those that are applying for a Habitat home do not have the luxury of a backup plan. They're working 2 or 3 hourly at-risk jobs and living paycheck to paycheck. They're suffering the most right now, and many are working in the medical field or service industries. We must do everything we can to keep building homes and raising funds for struggling families in our community. Habitat for Humanity, Seattle King County has been working hard to support these deserving funds, launching a resiliency fund in mid-March that's helping its existing homeowners with their mortgage payments if needed. For those currently in the pipeline to purchase a home, resiliency funds are assisting them with their rental payments so credit standings stay intact. But we still have so much to do. As you will hear in a minute, Habitat has some exciting and ambitious plans for the future to address the affordable housing crisis that already existed even before the pandemic. We need your help to ensure these plans can be realized and operations continue in order to meet the region's demands. So, how do you and Habitat make sure this happens? Well, first, your gifts fund affordable home ownership. That's more than just pride that comes with owning your home. There are tangible and lasting benefits. According to Habitat's 2019 Impact Survey report, homeowners reported a marked improvement in their children's health and performance in school, their health and their career advancement, their overall financial security and ability to save money, their family's safety and security. In fact, 97% of those homeowners surveyed feel more secure in their future. Your support for Habitat also keeps people in their homes they already own through its home repair program. For every home that Habitat builds, they repair 3 or 4 more, enabling seniors and low-income families to remain in their homes and in the neighborhoods that they've loved for so many years. At a time when the lack of affordable housing has reached crisis levels in Seattle and King County, your support for Habitat for Humanity has never been more critical. So a big thank you. And while these times are changing and those we support are even more stressed, there are more things to celebrate. You'll hear personal stories of how your support has impacted families, more about the aggressive goals Habitat has going forward in our region, what the Puget Sound region's economy is expected to look like, and find inspiration in the community commitment and vision of my old buddy, Doug Baldwin. We have some special guests now we'd like to recognize today. First, Habitat's corporate and foundation partners, the socially conscious, community-focused businesses who donate $25,000 or more each year to support Habitat's mission. Here are the 2020 sponsors that we would like to recognize. Delta Airlines, our platinum sponsor for this year's event, and Home Street Bank, our community leader of the year. Now, usually I'd say, please hold your applause until all the names are read, but today we've got to be loud so that these amazing sponsors are going to hear from their houses. So run outside and bang a pot and pan or do whatever it takes, but let's be heard, all right? Also want to send a big thanks to our other corporate partners, including AT&T, Avon Foundation, Bank of America, BECU, Blueprint Capital, CU Home Mortgage Solutions, part of Verity Credit Union, DocuSign, Faith Church, Federal Home Loan Bank of Des Moines, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Harnish Foundation, Hillis Clark Martin and Peterson, Home Depot, the John C. and Carol K. Hughes Foundation, KLB Construction, Lowe's, Microsoft, Prime Electric, Regents Blue Shield, Roma Foundation, Suskin Charitable Foundation, and Wells Fargo. Again, thanks to their generosity, every dollar that you donate today as part of our program will go directly toward building strength, stability, and self-reliance through affordable home ownership. And we're going to be sharing this several times today, but you have several ways to give throughout our program. Here you go. Listen closely. You can text 2020 BTB to 71777. Again, text 2020 BTB to 71777. You can go to the website, www.habitatlunch.org, or you can be old-fashioned like me, mail a check to Habitat's office. Now, many other businesses support Habitat year-round for this event. You can find the complete list in the program on our event landing page. And when you're deciding where you do business, please consider the community-minded businesses like these that support the causes that you care about. So, while they can't actually hear you, go ahead, give them a round of applause for all the corporate partners and businesses who contribute to Habitat's mission. Now, speaking of generous businesses and benefactors, later, when you have the opportunity to make a gift to support Habitat, you're actually going to be able to double the difference that you make by responding to the $100,000 challenge match. Thanks to a $50,000 gift from Blueprint Capital, $25,000 from KLB Construction, and $25,000 from an anonymous donor, every gift you make of $250 or more will be matched up to a total of $100,000. So a big thank you goes out to our match donors. Now, a little more well-deserved recognition. Habitat's dedicated board of directors and its hardworking staff make sure your donations are used efficiently and effectively to build and repair affordable homes. So hello to you all and our elected officials who have joined us today. Habitat is one of the most engaging charitable organizations in the world when it comes to involving volunteers, including the dedicated AmeriCorps volunteers who serve with Habitat for a full year at a time. So thank you so much for your service. And last but certainly not least, our table captains, who invited many of you today. They have ensured that we have a full online house of generous people to support their Habitat owners. So let's get on with the program now. Please help me in welcoming CEO of Habitat for Humanity, Seattle-King County, Brett D'Antonio.
Thanks, Steve. We're so lucky you've become an expert in broadcasting in a socially distanced way for Cairo the last few weeks. You're the perfect MC for our virtual event. Hi, as Steve said, I'm Brett D'Antonio, CEO of Habitat for Humanity, Seattle-King County. And I can't thank you enough for joining us for our first ever virtual experience. This is obviously not how we originally envisioned our Beyond the Build event. We were so looking forward to gathering together as we have for so many years at the convention center. However, it's a new normal. And so, like everyone else, we're responding as best we can because now more than ever, our Habitat partner families need us. I'm here at our Lake City site, our first community within Seattle city limits in 6 years. Construction activities have continued on our build sites, given low-income housing was designated an essential activity by Governor Inslee. And so we've been able to continue this important work even during this challenging time. This Lake City townhome complex will be home to 16 families when it's completed. It's part of a total of 170 homes currently in various phases of our construction pipeline. You see, even before the COVID pandemic, we were responding to an urgent housing need. We already had census data showing that there were 124,000 low-income families currently cost-burdened in King County, and 1 in 7 were paying more than half of their income towards housing. We were responding by challenging the way we've been doing things and adapting our model so that we could do more. We recruited highly experienced staff in key positions and streamlined our construction process. We forged innovative and unique partnerships with public and private entities, and we're optimistic about the way the region was coming together to address the affordable housing crisis. We also set the most ambitious agenda our affiliate has ever had, to build or preserve 400 homes in the next 5 years on our way to serving 1,000 total families in King County. In fact, this year we'll break ground on a total of 4 projects, including the one here in Lake City, in Loyal Heights, South Park, and Renton. But then our world changed, and those already needing a hand up were challenged even further. The public health crisis that has unfolded has moved the need from urgency to emergency, as families already in precarious positions experience job losses. Yet while the world may have changed, our resolve and commitment to making first-time homeownership a reality has not. We know that homeownership is transformative and is the key to building strong, productive communities. Beyond just a roof over a family's head, owning a home provides stable living, economic mobility, and opportunity to break generational poverty. We know it because we've seen it work. Of the last 50 Habitat homeowners that sold their home, 48 used the equity to purchase a home on the open market. Through our land trust model, the Habitat homes that were sold, resold to new families in need of affordable housing. So it's a cycle that continues providing deserving families the opportunity of homeownership via a hand up versus a handout. We believe that with your help and the support of our neighbors, we can help Habitat partner families and applicants navigate the impacts of the pandemic while continuing to forge ahead with our ambitious construction goals. Speaking of neighbor helping neighbor, I wanted to take a moment to recognize our Volunteer of the Year, Nikki Gates. Nikki's volunteered for at least 20 years and given over 3,300 hours. She's helped build or repair homes in at least 12 different communities during her time with Habitat. Nikki's also greatly involved in our Women Build event and as a table captain at today's Beyond the Build luncheon. She's a champion of our AmeriCorps program, hosting an AmeriCorps brunch every year. You personify the passion we found in so many of our volunteers, and we send our heartfelt thanks and congratulations to you on this award. Before I pass off to Tony Gonchar of Delta Airlines, our platinum sponsor, I wanted to thank you again for joining us today and for your generosity. Thanks to people like you, the generous community members who believe in Habitat and donate your time, talent, and treasure to our mission, we are truly changing lives. Now, it's my honor to introduce Tony Gonchar, Vice President Seattle for Delta Airlines, who will be presenting Habitat's Community Leader of the Year Award. Not only is Delta supporting us in a major way this year, but the company has a long history of support, being last year's Community Leader of the Year recipient. We are truly grateful. Tony?
Good afternoon. I'm Tony Gonchar, Vice President for the Seattle region for Delta Airlines. Delta is proud to serve as the platinum sponsor for Beyond the Build virtual event. Our partnership with Habitat for Humanity, Seattle-King County, has spanned 7 years and incorporates employee engagement and financial support. As recipient of Habitat's Community Partner of the Year Award last year, I'm thrilled to present this year's award to Home Street Bank. For Habitat Seattle-King County, Home Street's Chief Investment Officer, Daryl Van Amen, has served on the board, provided valuable insight to the organization, and Home Street has done much more to help than build just homes. They have provided a brighter future for families and our entire community. Congratulations to Home Street. And now to receive the Habitat Community Partner of the Year Award, Home Street's Chief Financial Officer, Daryl Van Amen.
Thank you, Tony, for that great introduction. And thank you to Delta Airlines for its amazing support this year as the Beyond the Build Platinum sponsor. I'm honored to accept this award on behalf of Home Street Bank. Home Street was founded in 1921 as Continental Mortgage and Loan Company. And from the beginning, we were dedicated to providing home ownership opportunities for our community. In fact, we are the oldest customer for Fannie Mae, which began accepting our mortgages in 1938. So it's always been a natural fit for Home Street to partner with Habitat. In addition to financial aid and in-kind contributions, employees provide leadership to various Habitat for Humanity organizations through membership on boards of directors and their committees. Home Street employees volunteer and arrange work parties to lend a hand in building homes, teaching financial education classes for Habitat clients and AmeriCorps volunteers. Home Street Bank has facilitated several federal home loan bank grants to Habitat for Humanity, helping to lower the cost of building new units and providing critical repairs for homeowners so they can stay in their homes. We are fortunate to be able to use our expertise to help Habitat provide more homes for their clients. Through providing loan servicing, market rate loans, directly to Habitat families, it frees up the organization to focus on what they do best, building homes. During this pandemic and stay-home orders, most of us are lucky enough to have a safe home to stay in. We all know that isn't the case for so many in King County and throughout the country. I am personally grateful to have been able to volunteer my time to Habitat for the past 18 years. The support it provides its clients, from becoming a homeowner to financial education, allows families to be stable and thrive. Thank you for this award, and I ask you to continue to support Habitat's important work with financial support, volunteer time, and expertise. Our community needs you now more than ever.
Delta Airlines and Home Street Bank, how lucky we are to have your support. Thank you so much. And now I'm honored to introduce someone who represents the reason we're all here today and why Habitat does the great things that it does. Please meet Siobhan Jones, a new Habitat owner who just recently moved into her home in Rainier Vista.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here today to share my story with you. You have made such a life-changing difference for my family through your support for Habitat for Humanity. I am Siobhan Jones, and I am a very proud, very grateful Habitat homeowner. For the past few years, up until last month, my 5 children and I were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. 6 of us sharing just a small space with just 1 bathroom. So just imagine that. Considering that 4 of my children are teenagers, and at this time in their development when they really needed privacy, there was simply none that I, as a single mom, could offer them, and it broke my heart. My children range in age from 18 all the way down to 9 months, and we have been on a pretty difficult journey. I've experienced homelessness as a child, so I know what that feels like, and I didn't want that for my children. I've worked hard to give them a better life, and in between having my older children and the younger 2, I went back to school to study social work and behavioral science, where I graduated last year with a bachelor's degree in behavioral science. I also started working as a housing case manager for Solid Ground, which assists those living in poverty with social services, and I still work there today. So from both a personal and a professional perspective, I understand the inherent challenges facing those in need related to our region's homeless crisis and the lack of affordable housing. Things were going pretty well. We were living in a bigger home in the Kent area, and as a result of a pretty bad relationship, I had to take the kids and leave our house. But because the cost of rent was so high, we had to move to the outskirts of Maple Valley, and just so that I could afford a 2-bedroom apartment. Not only did the kids have to change their schools and leave their friends, it made my commute even longer. And then there was a living situation. We were literally living on top of each other. My bed was in the living room, and the kids had their room, so I wanted them to have their space so that they can share the 2 rooms between them. But it was then that I started to think seriously about Habitat. The living situation and the location in Maple Valley was not a great fit for us. I felt horrible telling my kids that I couldn't afford to buy or even rent something larger. And as a parent, I felt a responsibility to do better by them. So I went onto Habitat's website and I added my name. And I remember my older kids being very skeptical about Habitat. I think they were afraid to hope, and I was too. But Habitat didn't let us down. We closed on our 5-bedroom, 2-bath home in Rainier Vista last month, and the process was amazing. From all the training to help me learn how to budget adequately and plan on a monthly basis, to the skills we learned putting in our sweat equity hours. This support sets Habitat apart from any other housing service organization. Almost my entire family worked together to complete the 250 sweat equity hours, and it was such a great experience. We worked on our own house, on the Pacific Build site, and even at the Tukwila Habitat store. Each of us learned so much about using tools, painting, installing light fixtures, and my favorite, we wrapped the house in Tyvek, which was kind of hard, but a lot of the skills we learned that will help us in our future. Along the way, Habitat stood by my side, encouraging me, building my confidence that I could actually do this, be a homeowner. What I love the most is that I know this home was built with loving hands of volunteers who pounded in nails, painted walls, fixed floors, and so much more. It was built by companies like Lowe's and Schneider Electric, and it was built by you whose support of Habitat for Humanity made what seemed to be an impossible dream a reality for me and my family. It means that all of our struggles were worthwhile, that our hard work has paid off. I feel like saying thank you just isn't enough. We are deeply privileged to have been chosen to own a Habitat home, and we know it. Even my teenagers know it. You would get a kick out of how protective they are about their rooms and keeping them nice. And this from teenagers is pretty amazing. The kindness and generosity of people like you have not only changed our lives, you have changed our lives and changed our values. You've changed our morals. So for now, a simple thank you will have to do. We are blessed and honored by your support. Thank you.
Oh, Siobhan, thanks so much for sharing your story with us, and congratulations on becoming a first-time homeowner. You are an inspiration to us all. Now I'd like to introduce Matthew Gardner, someone that you may already be familiar with, given he is frequently in the news for his insights into our local economy. This expertise is especially relevant now. As the chief economist for Windermere, Matthew is responsible for analyzing and interpreting economic data and its impact on the real estate market, both on a local and national level. He publishes the Gardner Report, which highlights market conditions in regions throughout the Western U.S. Matthew regularly speaks at events around the country and is frequently quoted about the housing market, commercial development, growth management, and the U.S. economy. Matthew, take it away.
Hello, my name is Matthew Gardner, and I'm the chief economist for Windermere Real Estate and a proud supporter of Habitat for Humanity. I've been asked to speak with you today and offer a brief commentary on our economy here in Seattle, but more importantly, give you some of my thoughts about the local ownership housing market. Looking first at the economy, well, along with much of the rest of the nation, our area is basically still on hold. I do have to add that I did record this piece before the 1st of June, so I don't know whether Governor Inslee has or has not fully implemented phase 2 of reopening the state, but my fingers are certainly crossed. I could talk at length about what I expect to see as we move through the balance of the lockdown period and give you a post-COVID-19 economic outlook, but as I only have a few minutes with you, I can't really say much more than to tell you that I am confident in our area's ability to bounce back when we are allowed to do so. There will be pain, there will be job losses, but we are very fortunate to have a diverse economy and a technology sector that continues to perform very admirably. We really are very lucky to live here. And that's an interesting segue into the more germane topic of housing. Our local housing market will be fine, even as we move through these uncertain times, but I have a very specific concern, and that is the lack of affordable ownership housing. From an economic standpoint, we are without a doubt a success story here in Seattle, but with success comes consequences. Through no fault of our own, we've attracted some great companies to our area, and this economic vitality has led to a lot of new jobs, which has led to considerable demand for housing. The trouble is that demand exceeds supply, and this has put significant upward pressure on home prices and greatly reduced housing affordability. King County is in a housing crisis, but unfortunately I believe that we've become blasé to that very statement itself. We hear it again and again and again, to a point that we decide it's just too big a topic and it can't be fixed. But what's equally as interesting to me is that when we think about the lack of housing, or even housing affordability, isn't it true that we consider it to be a rental market problem? That maybe if we figure out how to provide affordable rental housing, then the whole issue goes away. Unfortunately, the rental market gets most of the attention, with few groups interested in the provision of affordable ownership housing. But I believe that it's actually a bigger issue. And for would-be home buyers, well, the obstacles are huge. To give you some kind of perspective, the average sale price back in April for a single-family home in King County, $846,000. And the average list price of a home for sale in the county, well, that's just over $1.2 million. Housing is expensive, but isn't it reasonable to assume that incomes are equally as high? Well, not even close, I'm afraid. The median household income in King County, $92,500. So very many families can't even come close to affording to buy a home, and the gap is getting wider, not narrower. Over the past decade, single-family housing prices have risen by an average of 6.7% annually, almost double the annual increase in income. Of course, mortgage rates have dropped by about 2% in the same time period, but many families who strive to buy a home just cannot afford it. This chart attempts to demonstrate the affordability issue that we face here in King County. Prepared by the Washington Center for Real Estate Research over at UW, it calculates ownership housing affordability for all buyers and separately for first-time buyers. With affordability being measured at any number above 100, you can clearly see the county is not affordable for households making median income, and hasn't been since back in 2013 as we were coming out of the Great Recession. But more importantly, it has never been affordable for first-time buyers since the index was created back in 1994. But I also want to share a couple of other data points with you. I went back a decade and took a look at home sale data in the first quarter of 2010, as I was interested to see how many sales were technically affordable. Well, in the first quarter, there were 267 sales at or below a price that could be considered affordable. Now, that was just about 7.5% of total sales. Not a great number by any stretch of the imagination. Well, in the first quarter of this year, that number had dropped to 185 sales, or just over 4% of total sales in the quarter. But then there's this. The number of homes for sale today that are technically affordable, well, that number is just 40. That's correct. 40 homes in the whole of King County, less than 2% of all single-family homes for sale. You know, it'd be easy for me to wax poetic about how unaffordable Seattle is, about how pushing households further and further away from our job markets into areas that may be more affordable. That's not the answer, as all this really does is put significant pressure on our transit infrastructure and add significant transportation costs. But it's not really about that. Of course, it's important to be inclusive rather than exclusive when it comes to housing. But for the ownership arena, it's much, much more than that. We are all aware that income inequality has become pervasive in today's society. And it's that very inequality which is causing instability and keeping families who would love to be able to buy a home from doing so. And let me be clear, home ownership and stable housing go hand in hand. Why? Well, homeowners move far less frequently than renters and are therefore embedded into the same neighborhood and community for a longer period of time. Last year, just 5% of homeowners moved, but almost 1 in 5, 19.7% of renters moved. I think that it's stability which is the key factor here. There are literally hundreds of academic papers that discuss the positive attributes that stability offers households and specifically children in these households, and how stability is very instrumental to their success as adults. The bottom line is this. Home ownership allows households to accumulate not only wealth, but social status. Today, over 65% of all households in America own their homes and are benefiting significantly. In essence, home ownership implies permanence, whereas renting implies mobility. Ownership implies pride and a sense of belonging. Homeowners are actually happier than renters, maybe because they've actually achieved the American dream. The economic and social benefits of home ownership are irrefutable. Unfortunately, however, public policy is more apt to think of housing as nothing more than a roof, and most of the government's attention is focused on the rental market as opposed to the ownership market, irrespective of the long-term health, social, and wealth benefits that home ownership allows. The task of providing affordable ownership housing is extremely daunting, but it is so very important. I'm sure that most of you, including me, own your homes, and I do wonder if we actually forget how lucky we really are. Yes, we've worked very hard for it, but the club should not be that exclusive. I sincerely hope that you will see your way clear to supporting Habitat, even though we are certainly going through a very stressful time right now. The pandemic will pass, but housing demand will not diminish. Habitat for Humanity is doing all that it can, but it needs our support. And I hope that, collectively, we can help more families achieve their American dream. Thank you.
Wow, did you hear that? Only 40 homes that are considered affordable in all of King County right now. A clear message about how critical Habitat's programs are in our region. Matthew, thank you so much. Heartening to hear that you have optimism about our economy going forward. Now I'd like to introduce Tim Lieb, the president of Regions Blue Shield, and my amazing and good friend, Doug Baldwin, who, as you probably know, is a Seahawks legend around these parts. Tim serves on the board for Habitat for Humanity, Seattle King County, and has spent the last 2 decades immersed in the healthcare industry. From his start as a senior underwriter and account executive to the front lines as the vice president of sales, up through his current role as president of Regions Blue Shield in Washington, Tim's desire is to create more affordable and accountable healthcare solutions for Washingtonians. And what can I say about Doug Baldwin Jr.? You all know him, the former college wide receiver at Stanford, signed by the Seahawks as an undrafted free agent in 2011. The Seahawks' third all-time leader in receptions and receiving yards. He was a Pro Bowler twice, and as of course you all know and love, won the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 48 against the Denver Broncos. He's got a ring for that. Doug has now turned his attention to leveraging his influence in our region through community service. He's one of the forces behind the creation of the Family First Community Center in Renton, Washington. That's a center for families that will serve to help kids reach their education potential. He also has been actively involved in responding to the needs in our community during the pandemic, partnering with Essential Water to make sure people do not go without meals and, most importantly, are safe. They recently hit their goal of delivering 250 packages of food and supplies to families within the community. We are so fortunate to have such a committed local hero among us and joining us for our conversation on community involvement today. Please join me in welcoming Tim Lee and the one and only Doug Baldwin.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everyone. I'm Tim Lee, president of the Regions Blue Shield and also a Habitat for Humanity board member. I am pleased to introduce Doug Baldwin. All of you know him as a Seattle Seahawk wide receiver for 8 years and the impact he had there. Today, Doug is a strong catalyst and he is making his mark in the social impact and what he can do for the greater good. One of the key initiatives that Doug is currently leading is Family First Community Center in Renton. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. As you know, I am a huge fan of what you're doing in the community. And I'd like for you to first start with sharing a little bit to the folks in the audience what you're doing in the community today and what really drives that passion.
So two things that we're doing right now, really, we set out to build a community center in the Cascade-Benson area in Renton. And it really started when I first got here back in 2011. I noticed that there was really nothing for the kids to do in that area. And I just thought, it would be a good idea to do something to leave my mark in this area and replicate something that I experienced back home, which was the community center that ended up being my second home. And so that's what we're pursuing to this date. We were supposed to break ground earlier this year. However, with everything that's going on, we've put that on hold, but we're still pushing forward. We're going to hopefully break ground here soon, and that community center will be built in 2021. It is a community center, but I think it has a much greater breadth than what a typical community center you would think of. We're going to have a full medical clinic in the community center, partnering with HealthPoint to get that done. The school district is going to have a big hand in it. We're going to have a maker space. And then obviously the recreational services. And then we're also going to provide a number of different services that both the youth and adults can use. Healthy eating classes, cooking classes, financial literacy classes. So that's a big passion of mine. Obviously with the COVID situation, we've had to pivot. And so currently we are focused on helping larger organizations get food to smaller organizations. So we're providing delivery service for that. To answer your question, really, it's just, selfishly, it does make me feel good to be able to provide and serve the community, right? It's something that my mother had driven into me when I was younger. And so, yeah, this is just an opportunity to do that. And if I have an opportunity to serve my community while also making myself feel good in the process, I'm going to do that.
No, and we truly appreciate it. And you are making such an impact and you're leveraging the voice that you carry in this community. Do you have an example of like a family or, when you think of locally, how you've really been able to impact a family and what drives you kind of at this local level as well?
There's a young man who I met back in 2012. His name's Nebu, and he's just an incredible young man. He came over here with his family and really kind of found a footing here in America, and just a very vibrant young man who's really just trying to find his way in this world, right? And we kind of became close during my time at the YMCA down closer to the facility, and We stay in touch to this day, and just his family and his story and his upbringing and just what he's trying to accomplish in life for his family, I think is a testimony to, you know, a lot of people in the situation that they're facing now. They're just trying to find their way. But he has a lot of integrity, right? And he has a lot of passion for serving and giving back. And his mentality is in the right place. And so it's encouraging to see a young man come up in a world that's really chaotic in this time, but really still, you know, staying grounded and staying fundamental to who he is and what he believes in. And so, you know, he would call me his mentor, but in a lot of ways, he's helping mentor me through life as well.
I know it's always interesting to see how being able to impact someone's life has such an impact on yourself.
Yeah.
As you look at it, and as you know, Habitat for Humanity is focused on affordable housing and really all across Seattle and King County. In light of what's going on with COVID, what do you see and what would you say to the audience around how they have to think differently about their role in the community with what's going on today?
My wife and I talk about this all the time. You know, we're in a situation where I would hope that the majority of us are starting to realize that we're much more connected than we previously thought, right? We all have our subgroups. We have our, you know, just our groups of people that we hang around and our cultures and different things that separate us, right? That do divide us in some ways. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we can all be touched by something as great of magnitude as this pandemic. And it doesn't separate us, right? And in a lot of ways, this can bring us together. And the needs that people have, they're still there. And even more so, they're exacerbated because of the situation. And it should call us all to drive more into our community, right? To be closer together. And I think everybody can say that as we're sitting here in quarantine and on a Zoom call. We would rather be in person. We would rather be together because I believe humans are created for connection. And the fact that we have been forced to, you know, make these critical decisions in order to preserve our humanity in a lot of ways, I hope that it drives us closer to community and realizing that we can support, we can help where we're called to do so.
So you kind of you're on the pulpit right now. What would you say to those that are out there listening on not only today for this event and donating to Habitat for Humanity, but giving back their time into the community? What message would you deliver to the audience?
I didn't write a speech, clearly. You know, and there's so many things that I could say, and I'm just gonna be honest and speak from my heart. And I don't want it to sound sad, but the reality is that life in reality itself is sad, right? When we look at all the tragedies and all the things that are happening in our world, it is sad, right? But I also believe that in order to truly understand the depth of joy, you also have to understand the depth of your pain, the depth of your suffering, right? And that's what we see. That's what we've known. That's why we are here doing this today, is because there are people suffering. There are people who are trying to find balance in their lives, and they need help in some ways, right? And I think that, again, you know, if we can really tap into that empathy piece of understanding that suffering as a human being, right? And really just understanding the depth of trying to find that balance, of trying to find your way, of trying to find stability, and whatever it may be, right? I would say you and I are more well off, right? But there are things in our lives that are unbalanced that we have to find stability in. And there's a challenge to that. And there's people who are facing even greater challenges, but the sentiment is still the same. And if we can tap into that empathetically and really look at our neighbor as a fellow human being just trying to survive on this planet, then what can we think of in terms of trying to help our fellow human beings survive and thrive on this planet? Again, I'm not trying to make it sad, but that's the reality of it, that life is hard. And what better way to go through life than to have somebody and have people, a group of people that you can lean on for support. And so I hope that all of us who are on this call, who are listening to this, who can be impacted and also make an impact, we'll do that. We'll find a way to support and help others because again, we're all just trying to survive and thrive on this planet.
Listen, Doug, I want to thank you. Thank you for the time you spent today. And more importantly, thank you for everything you're doing in the community. As you know, again, I just think the world of what you're doing, and I appreciate it, and what it makes a difference. And all of us just want to say thank you.
I appreciate that. And I want to return the thank you as well. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do the things that you're doing, but you choose every day to wake up and serve our community. And that's needed, desperately needed, not only in times of a pandemic, but all times. And so I want to thank you for that as well.
Thanks, Doug. Back to you, Steve.
Guys, thanks so much. And now you all have a glimpse of the person that I've known and really admired over the years. Doug, thanks for your heartfelt sentiments about how each of us can, well, we can make a difference. And Tim, thank you for your service to Habitat and for leading such a great conversation about the critical needs now in our community. It's very inspiring. All right, now the reason we're all here today, you're about to see the impact of your support and what it provides to real people living in our communities, your neighbors. You'll also hear what it's like to volunteer for this amazing organization from one of Habitat's most active volunteers. So sit back and enjoy their stories. And following that, Scott Lee of Summit Construction Partners Northwest and a Habitat board member will tell you how you can continue to support these inspiring people.
I'm Alice Donnelly, and I'm a homeowner, and I've been in my house for 37 years. My mother got to where she couldn't walk by herself very well, and she was having problems. I had to quit working and take care of her full time. I didn't realize how this was going to affect my income, my Social Security, my pension. It really put us into a financial pinch. It was very scary for me. I used to have nightmares about what's going to happen to Mom and I if I lose this home. I didn't have the income or the funds to do some of the repairs that I had to have done on the house, and I didn't have any way to do it. That's when talking to my girlfriend convinced me to call Habitat for Humanity. Come get a peanut. Come on. Oh, you're so cute. When Habitat first started coming out and looking at my home and everything, it was really exciting. I needed a roof and some insulation. My big window that was broke, they decided, yeah, we got to do something about that. And then they were looking around outside and they saw all these trees needed thinning really bad. When Habitat replaced my window, it made my whole front room much bigger and brighter, and it just made it feel more secure. Every day I thank God for Habitat for Humanity. Without them, I know I'd lost my home.
My name is Abid Rahmani. I am originally from Afghanistan. I used to work for the US government back in Afghanistan, but as time passed, security situation get worse and worse. And in 2012, I started receiving threats from militant groups that you are the reason for the existing of the US troop in the country. So I decided to leave the country. Based on my faithful employment, the US government offered me special immigration visa, which they call SIV. I came directly from Afghanistan to Seattle. It was 2-bedroom apartment and 5 people were living in 2-bedroom. It was too hard, and that was a survival stage for me. I contacted Habitat for Humanity in 2017. They contacted me back and I started the process. A good part of the Habitat home that you would have to work for at least 250 hours, and they call it sweat equity hours. While working with Habitat for Humanity, I learned a lot of skills. So now if I have something to do in my Habitat home, I can do it myself. It feels awesome when I am sitting in my home and my children are outside of the house and I can see them from the window and they're playing. It's a very joyful moment for me.
Why construction? I guess we're all born wanting to do something, and Habitat is wonderful. It is a joy to work with these people. It's very humbling to hear those homeowners being so thankful, to hear that and witness, how you make a difference as a group makes you want to go forward and keep doing what you're doing. I think we all give what we can. If it's time, perfect. If it's money, fantastic. I encourage everybody to give whatever they can.
When I was working on my sweat equity hours, it was a very feel of happiness and joy for me because I know that those houses will be allocated to low-income families. This is a way better place for my children to grow. Habitat for Humanity is a place where you could turn your dream to reality.
A home really means security. You have a good well-being. Thank you for helping Habitat do this for people like me. God bless you, and thank you so much.
It's great to see the impact of Habitat in our community. Hi, I'm Scott Lee, a longtime board member and supporter of our mission. Thanks for joining us today. All of us at Habitat appreciate your interest, dedication, and support. Today we're happy to share and celebrate our accomplishments with you, but we're also here to fund our mission. This is our opportunity to make an impact and show leadership for permanent affordable housing. We only have one event each year, and we need your support. I want to personally encourage you to be generous and invest in our future. Our mission is to stabilize neighborhoods, to build communities, and preserve affordable housing for families in Seattle and King County. I've personally seen the positive impact of home ownership, especially on children. If we can help a young boy or girl with some stability in their lives through home ownership, that's the best investment we can make in our collective futures. Last year, our luncheon raised over $1.3 million. Now more than ever, we need your significant gift. Donations from this event are crucial to continuing our success in helping deserving families. This year, you have 3 ways to provide your support. You can text 2020-BTB to 71777, or go to the website www.habitatlunch.org, or mail a check to Habitat's office. Thanks to the generosity of our matching donors, every donation of $250 or more will be doubled. Your gift of $250 becomes $500, and $500 becomes $1,000, and so on. So please consider making a substantial donation so we can double your impact. By the way, your contributions are 100% tax deductible. And also, don't forget to ask your company for a match if it's available. We have over 170 new homes planned for the next 5 years and dozens of repairs in our community. Deserving families will be able to own their own home and build a better future for their children because of your support. Thanks to the support of our sponsors, every dollar you donate will go directly toward building homes, communities, and hope for families in need. We all want to make a difference. Please help us with your generous financial support for permanent affordable housing. Thank you.
Scott, thanks so much. And now it's your turn to do something great. As you consider your donation, hopefully inspired by Scott, Siobhan, Matthew, and Doug, to add a 0 or perhaps 2 to the amount that you initially thought that you might want to give. I want to remind you again that every dollar you donate here today goes directly to support Habitat homeowners. And that's because Habitat's generous corporate partners have covered all the costs of today's event. That makes your investment go even further. And as Scott and I have both mentioned, remember that every gift you make of $250 or more will be matched up to a total of $100,000. How often do we get the chance to actually double an investment the moment we make it? So please go online or text to give or write your check now. Now, while you're doing that, and we're talking about good deals, here's something that some of you might not know. Habitat's 3 home improvement discount stores in Tukwila, Auburn, and Bellevue just reopened yesterday with modified hours, and you can find new and gently used building materials, tools, hardware, appliances, and furniture at amazing discounted prices, either in-store or online at habitatsKC.org. Please also consider donating your gently used furniture, tools, and supplies to a Habitat store near you. We also want to again thank all of the homeowners who are with us here today for being such outstanding representatives of Habitat homeowners everywhere, along with our speaker, Siobhan Jones. As we conclude our virtual experience, we want to emphasize that the biggest stars of the day are each and every one of you. Thank you for being here to support Habitat for Humanity. Please continue the momentum going. Tell others about why you've chosen to support this extraordinary organization. Donate to or shop at a Habitat store. Consider getting more involved as a Habitat volunteer. And remember, you're investing in your community when you engage with Habitat. Now, in closing, get to know some of the amazing people that have been helped or are helping Habitat.
Hi, my name is Kelly Bishop with Delta Airlines, and I have been fortunate to have been a representative for Delta, assisting as a coordinator on Habitat bills for the last 7 years. What I've enjoyed most is being able to witness through the eyes of these families the sense of need, peace, and pride of becoming homeowners. A sense that is not only statistical, but I believe is also a paternal instinct in knowing that having a safe, permanent home reduces the chances of children ending up in unsafe or risky situations. Last year at the annual luncheon, I was approached by a couple from one of these families, a family I have not seen for over 4 years. They said to me, "Thank you. Thank you very much. We think about you and pray for you often." Where some might see a corporate partner, I see family. I see friends, lifelong friends. Please join me in supporting Habitat for Humanity.
Hi, I'm April, a Habitat homeowner since 2013. My boys and I moved into the Federal Westway area in December of that year. Since then, our family has gone from just surviving to actually living. Our Habitat experience has been great, and I still love our home, and I appreciate all of the sponsors, especially Delta, because it was one of the first houses that Delta ever did with Habitat. Thank you for all your support.
Hi, my name is Connor Black, and I've been working at DocuSign for a year and 8 months in the financial services space. I got involved with Habitat when I was 15 due to the ongoing housing crisis in Seattle. One of my favorite parts about being involved with Habitat is seeing those families receive a home that they can call their own. I'm really looking forward to this event. As it is virtual, I think more people will be able to attend, and I think it's really special that we can come together in a time like this. I wanted to say a big thank you to all of our donors, and please consider giving. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joanne. My 3 kids and I moved into this Habitat home 2 years ago. We love it. It's a beautiful home. Thank you so much, Habitat, all the volunteers and sponsors and donors for getting us into this home. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today. Again, thank you everyone, and do have a great day.
Thank you.